Now, we all been hearing about the Corporate Transparency Act, but we really need to know as small business owners, how is it actually affecting us? Jumping right into it, the first thing that you have to understand is that there's new reporting requirements. So I've made a couple videos, we'll drop a link below about how to actually fill out your beneficial ownership information report, your BOIR. Now, this is a free report. You're required to do it. And with this information, really what they're looking for is things like your name, your home address, right? Who actually owns the company, who has beneficial ownership. It's even going to ask you to upload some form of identification like a passport or a driver's license. Now, ultimately, the primary purpose is, again, they're really trying to prevent any type of illegal or illicit activities. Everybody's required to do it, including the small business owner. And it really doesn't matter. If you open an LLC, even if you're not producing income, you're still required to report the beneficial ownership report, which actually leads us into number 2, which is really the compliance and the legal deadlines now. So we know that if this company that you created, this LLC, existed before the year of 2025, then you had all the way up until January 2025 in order to file. However, if it was a newer company, you only had 90 days, meaning if it was after January 2025, you had 90 days from the day that you created to the day that you had to finish your report, your BOIR. And there was actually this whole back and forth about, hey, what we're sharing here is kind of private. So is this actually lawful? Is this a legal thing that they could require from us to offer up all of this information? And it actually went all the way to court. It was actually a federal judge in the great state of Texas that tried to put an injunction on it and say, hey, look, this is going against some of our constitutional rights. But the Supreme Court reversed that and said, you know what? No. It is still a requirement. And so there's been a lot of back and forth between the legal system about, hey, should we have to promote? There's been a lot of back and forth in the media about, is it going to be legal? Is it going to be banned? And at the end of the day, unless it's written in black and white that it is no longer a requirement, I highly suggest making sure that you're at least doing it, because the fines and the penalties are absurd. And if you want to learn more about those, you can check out this video here where it's telling you up to a couple years in prison, up to $25,000 in fines. It's pretty ridiculous. Now, the third thing that we have to understand is that with this information, with this additional information requirement, this does increase our exposure as small business owners. So the CTA, the Corporate Transparency Act, is pretty broad in nature, right? It's requesting a bunch of information and it is doing like a blanket sweep. So if you own an LLC or if you own any type of business structure, you are required to put that information out there. But what we don't understand necessarily is who is getting access to our information. Yes, we understand that it is a government body, right? It's the FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Got it. But at the same time, who else has access to that? So there's a lot of concerns with the small business owners about privacy issues, exposure to potentially have our information leaked some way or another. This is an issue for some people, so much in fact that they're actually starting to form groups to try to get this act repealed. They are saying, hey, look, this is great, but our information is private. You're basically punishing the small business owner for this grand scheme of things that you're trying to prevent. Which actually leads us into our final thing, where some lawmakers are actually putting in bills to try to get the CTA repealed. The two primary pillars that they're standing on is, one, they think that it does infringe on some sort of privacy rights, but it's also a burden to the small business owner. We have enough going on for us to have to be concerned about something that wasn't expressly communicated to us, yet if we fail to file, we get the penalties, we get the potential jail time and everything else. Now, my honest opinion on it, I think it's a great, effort for them to make things more transparent so they can, hopefully prevent a lot more of the illegal things before they happen. Great effort. However, the way that they're going about it, doing this broad sweep of things, I think at the end of the day is irresponsible. As they're doing this, they're collecting a ton of information, and the question becomes, when you're looking for something very specific, when you're looking for a needle, it's a lot easier to do that in a smaller pile than it is into a haystack, right? So gathering all this information, in my opinion, from companies that are small businesses that are not going to be funneling illicit activities through them, who are, making it more burdensome for the small business owner. Again, although the effort and the intent is there, and then making it a requirement that faces jail time and fines. That's the additional piece of it here. I think that was kind of poorly structured in my opinion. Bottom line is, New compliance regulations are constantly coming out and they're still evolving around this Corporate Transparency Act. Then we also have the legal concerns and the legal debates that are going on saying, is this infringement of privacy rights on this, that, and the third? Ultimately, we do not know what's going to happen with the Corporate Transparency Act in the future. And I can almost guarantee you that this isn't going to be the last act that gets put into place that is going to be required for small business owners to put some sort of information out, right? So it's really important as a small business owner that we are staying on top of it. We understand what's going on. So, making sure that we're communicating with our local lawmakers in our city, making sure that we're just aware of what's going on in the business sector as a whole. If you found this content useful or insightful, then go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. And if there's anything else that you guys have about this Corporate Transparency Act that maybe you're aware of or maybe you want to know, go ahead and put it in the comments below. So again, we can all learn as this is developing. All right, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.